Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Jackson Gage Collective. My name is Jackson Gage, Jackson Gage, and this is my podcast, man. And this is the About episode. As you know, there's About episodes on most podcasts. And later on in this episode, in a few minutes, I will tell you my story and some of the things that may interest you about me, that may connect you to who I am and help you resonate with me. But first, I kind of wanted to tell you why I'm creating this podcast. And I'll let it be known that this is kind of a blossoming idea for me. It's not just a strictly niched idea. I just want to create and kind of grow as I create and let it expand into whatever it will be. And you can help me with that as the listener, as you give me feedback, and we can turn this into something where we all benefit from it. Right. So if you didn't know, in 2016, I had another podcast called The Increased Life with Jackson Gage. And that's actually still on Spotify and iTunes. And that was an inspirational podcast where I only did 10 episodes. I was in Hawaii at the time, and I had some personal issues come up after about the 10th episode where I just didn't have the drive to sit and create because, this type of creation, although it's my passion and I love doing it, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It can be more than a full-time job as far as time put in if you allow it to be, which for me, there's no complaints behind that. I could spend 40 hours a week, 50, 60 hours a week working on creating videos, interviewing, podcasting, because this is what I enjoy doing. This is my art form, right? This is my art and I love it. So anyhow, I had this podcast. I was starting to learn how to interview people. I was pretty nervous, and if you listen to it, you might be able to tell, you might not, but I was nervous interviewing people. It was almost like public speaking. I was interviewing some people that I've never met before, some authors, some speakers, some coaches. And it went over well. I got a significant amount of downloads for such a small amount of episodes, and it was going well. I was promoting it well, but like I said, I had some personal issues come up, and I just didn't have the energy at the time. I went into a kind of a depression, which is something I've battled with, and I'll tell you more about that later in this episode. But and the second reason, I was not really filling that podcast because I kind of painted myself into a box. And at that time and we all learn and we grow, but at that time, what I was doing was I was trying to, and it was kind of subconsciously, I was just doing this thing where I wasn't completely letting myself out to the world. I wasn't completely being myself. I was hiding certain things that may offend people. Certain thoughts that I have, or ideas or values that I have that some people might not agree with. And I was just doing the complete positive, get inspirational stories out of people and share that, which is a good idea. But for me, as an artistic, creative type of person, that's a box for me. I want to be able to just create whatever I want, any type of entertainment, whatever I'm interested in. I want to draw that out of the world and then give it to you as a gift, give it to the listener as a gift. And hopefully you can get some type of value out of it. So I decided that if I do make another podcast, I will just make one where I can be myself and do the things I love and share the things I love with you. And, hopefully you can get value out of that. And so that's what this podcast is. This is a passion project for me. If you know me, if you don't, first and foremost, this is about personal growth and development of ourselves into our most authentic self. So if you can get anything from listening to this podcast and listening to these episodes, what I want you to get from the strongest gift that I'd like you to get from this is the inspiration to be yourself, the inspiration to live an authentic life and do the things that you love, the inspiration to step out of the box that you've been in your whole life and step into the vision that you have for your life. And we do that in many ways, right? We can do that, mind, body, spirit, through health, through, whatever it may be. As we learn and as we grow as a person, we attract, the world kind of opens itself up to us, and the vibration that we put out to the world will be matched, like whatever we become. For instance, if you're living a negative, shitty life, you're always unhappy, you're constantly mad at people, you're drinking alcohol all the time, no judgment. I don't drink alcohol, but I do smoke a little weed. I haven't smoked at this point, I've taken like an 8-month break from marijuana, but I do enjoy marijuana, and I'm a proponent of marijuana as a medicine and as a spiritual, kind of a spiritual sacrament to get introspective and to figure out where you can be better as a human, right? Where we can fix ourselves. And if you're living a life where you're negative and you know that your world around you is going to match that vibration. If you look around and you don't like the world that you've created around yourself, because we are the creators. I am that I am. We are made in the image and the likeness of creation, of the creator. And I'm not a Christian. Although I do love Jesus's teachings and I do love Buddhist teachings, and I do love Lao Tzu, and I do love Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra, and the list goes on and on. Any wise man that Khalil Gibran, any of these wise teachers who have Rumi, any of these wise teachers who have walked the earth, even now, Joe Rogan, he's a wise teacher. 1,000 years from now, they'll be looking back at some of the shit he said and saying how great of a teacher he was and how many lives he influenced, right? Any of these great teachers, you don't have to pick one. You don't have to pick one and then shun the rest, right? You can pull from all of these great teachers and help that and take what you learn and let that develop you into the person that you want to become, right? But if you're putting out negativity, your world is going to be negative. And whatever your world is showing you right now, whatever is in your life right now is a direct reflection of the person who you've become. So if you want your life to get better and you want your life to look successful to you, whatever success is in your eyes, you have to develop yourself into the person who can live in that vision, right? And as you develop yourself, the vision will appear around you. The vision will make itself known to you, right? But it takes a lot of work on you. And that's the mission that I've been on in my life. And that's the basis of this podcast, right? Whether it's whoever I talk to, right? I do have a passion for learning how to become a great interviewer. I'm not the best interviewer in the world, but I have aspirations to be, right? I want to be a master interviewer because there's a power in being able to take somebody's story and ask them the correct questions to pull out the value that you want to get from them, and then let that be interpreted to the people around you who may not listen to that person or may not understand that person, right? So a good interviewer almost acts as an interpreter for people who wouldn't get that value any other way. And so I want you to be able to come here and get excellent value in your life, whether it's around health, whether it's around mindset, spirituality, working out, fitness, whatever it may be, or it may just be entertaining. I may have a friend on who I think is hilarious and talk to him for the day, but whatever it is, I want you to be entertained, or I want you to learn something. I want you to feel better about yourself. I want you to create the life that you want, create the life that you want. And if that's what you're trying to do, if you have a vision for yourself and a vision for your life, then you're at the right place, the Jackson Gage Collective. And like I said, who knows what this will blossom into, but at this point, I have a large vision for this podcast. I truly enjoy speaking with people and being very inquisitive, right? In my normal life, I'm an inquisitive guy. I'm not the guy who's telling you all about myself. I'm the guy who's asking you questions, and that translates perfectly over into podcasting. So this podcast, and I'll say it again, I'm repeating myself. This may be repetitive, but the Jackson Gage Collective is being created to be a conduit for you, a place where you can come and hang out. Even if you just want to come and hang out with me and hang out with my guests and listen and learn something, that's what we're here for. I want to give you hope that you can have a brighter future. You can grow yourself into whoever you want to be. You're never stuck where you are. You are not stuck in that relationship. You're not stuck in that job. You are not stuck with that salary. You're not stuck in none of that. You can change it all. You can change everything. You are a magnificent creator. If you're alive on this earth and you're a human being, we are the fucking creators. If some alien spaceship came by and they were doing a National Geographic alien version and watching humans interact, what they would say is, these are some of the most powerful creators in the universe, yet they've been caged and enslaved, mentally, by mental propaganda. And we have millions of people who are not living into their greatest, their greatest selves. And instead they've been kind of taught to just go work your life away. It's almost a slavery existence, right? For a lot of people who just work, procreate, work, die, consume, live, consume, die. And all those people, like Les Brown says, the graveyard is full of dreams and ambitions and ideas that could have changed the world, or could have inspired one person to be great, or could have, made a difference in millions of lives, but they go to the grave with those ideas because of the fear that's been pumped into us over the centuries to just stay in your place. So what I want to do here in this podcast, the Jackson Gage Collective, is just, be a beacon for you, be almost like a lighthouse. Think of this podcast as a lighthouse for you. You come here, interact with me, hit me up on Instagram at The Increase Life, and let's start a conversation. How can I help you? And then also when I speak with guests, if you have any questions for those guests, if you have any questions for me, you can actually go on Spotify. You listen to the episode. If you go on Spotify, there's a link where you can leave a voice message, and you can leave a question, a 1-minute voice message or question, and I'll play that in an episode and I will respond to you. If I get enough of those, or when I get enough of those, I'll do an episode just answering those questions. I think that would be a good idea, but you guys got to leave questions for me. So in a nutshell, that's what this podcast is about. I do have another podcast, and we finished one season. It's 37 episodes. It's called Soul Rollers, SOULROLLERS, Soul Rollers. And that podcast is about jujitsu. We cover jujitsu, life, and self-mastery. So that one's more based on jujitsu. And I co-host that with a very powerful mindset coach by the name of William Dennis. He's an ex-police officer, and the dude is dedicated his life to figuring out how to help people unleash their greatness. And you can hit him up on Instagram or follow him at the Will Dennis, and also go to Spotify and follow Soul Rollers if you're into that type of stuff, jiu-jitsu, life, and self-mastery, or you just want to hang out with us. We'll be launching a second season pretty soon here. So other than that, hit me up on Instagram. Let's get a conversation going. And the rest of this podcast, I will tell you about my story. I will share my story with you. But first, I just kind of wanted to tell you where I'm going with this podcast in a short, brief, nutshell, summarized type of way. So enjoy the rest of the podcast. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then make sure you subscribe to this podcast. If it's on iTunes, on Spotify, make sure you follow. On Spotify, it's easy. You follow and you hit 5 stars. Boom, easy. You can help me out that way. We can get it out to more people. On iTunes, you can leave an actual message, an actual review, and type a review. That will help us hugely as well. And eventually, we'll be doing all kinds of interesting shit on here. I don't even know, like I said, where it's going, but I want this to be at its base an interview-based show, but I'll do solo casts, and maybe it'll be some type of variety show. I have a lot of ideas for this. So just stay tuned, follow us, follow this. Go to my YouTube channel, Jackson Gage, and follow, because I'll be posting valuable short clips from this episode, or from this podcast. So thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of the show. The About episode, about me, so you know who I am, so you know who you're listening to, so you know if you resonate. And whoever you are, if you have no hope in life, if you want to step into your greater self, whatever it may be, come here and let's hang out. Let's start a dialogue, and let's inspire some lives to, make a difference in this world. Because if we all start rising up, the world will change, but until that happens, things will remain how they are. Things will remain as long as we're at effect to the universe and the powers that be and whatnot. But as soon as we become the powerful creators that we're supposed to be, the powerful creators that we innately are, the powerful creators that are hidden within inside of us, each and every one of us, you listening, you have a powerful creator inside of you. You can create whatever you want to create in this world. As soon as you step into that and believe in yourself and authentically share yourself with the world, you're going to make a difference in the world. In your world, you're going to change your life and the people's lives around you, because then you give them permission to do the same. And that's what I want to do for you. I'm giving you permission. Go for it. I'm doing it. You can do it. Let's team up, and let's fucking get everyone else around us to do it. Let's rise up. We rise by lifting others 100%. So anyhow, enjoy the rest of the About episode. Peace and love. And keep it going.